And hello, and welcome to Uptown Tonight. We are in September, late September, September 20th to be exact. And the leaves are changing. The weather is great. It's just, if it could stay like this for a few more months, that'd be excellent, excellent. But, you know, it's just not how it works up here in good old Fargo. So this is the Uptown Tonight Podcast. I am your host, Mr. Wayne Stollenfacher, or just Tom Cruise, or Tom Brady. I was once called Steve Wozniak, or the Apple guy, and everything else, and for good reasons, but not Steve Wozniak. I still don't understand where they came up with that. But tonight we have the one, the only Maxjonkmusic right here. So right in the studio. I can't wait to get into this conversation because there's I know not much about him, but I've seen him almost everywhere, especially downtown and all that. So this is going to be really cool. But, you know, first I got to talk about me because I am boring, and this is the Uptown Tonight Podcast. I still got to sort our tag, is that we do believe a rising tide does raise all ships, and we are here trying to do that part by raising that tide by just showing off the area's entertainers and all that fun stuff. So we are doing all that. But last weekend, I don't have any photos of that, but we'll have Cito over here showing off our Uptown merch with old Junior there. And let's see, I think we're back in town 2 weeks from now. We'll be at the Windbreak. In a couple of weeks this weekend, we're going to be out in Jamestown. But there's Cito with Junior and the Uptown merch. So keep us on the road. Come out and buy a T-shirt and all the other fun stuff. And then we got Zebers. He doesn't look like that anymore, and neither does that couch. And here we go. Zeb says we have to support our troops. I am a little biased. My son is in South Korea right now, and Sergeant, he made it all the way up to Sergeant. And so, Zebra says support our troops. I say we should support our troops. And last weekend, I'll just talk with this picture up there, is that we played at a wedding, and it worked out. It was really, really nice. The crowd is energetic. They're really digging what we were putting out and everything else. We were done by midnight, and it was in town. Literally a few blocks from here. Oh, my gosh. It was bad. It was as in bad. So before that, we had Westfest, and I do have some videos of Westfest. I posted on my Facebook page, so if you want to find me at Wayne Stollenfacher on Facebook, there's some of the videos we've done out there. My big thing is drum lines, and I'm going to do the Moorhead drum line, and we had this huge, they call it a drum off. It's just basically all the drum lines in the area, and there's finally becoming, I think we had 5. It was awesome. From 5 different places, including Moorhead State. And they play their cadence and whatever else, and we play it all together. And then there's a few ditties that I had in the back pocket that the kids were showing everybody else. And then we had this big drumline thing right before we started by playing jig number 2. And it was fun. That was really, really fun. But then I go straight to the wedding right after that. But that's me. That's my boring life. And we need to get to Max. So, Max, how you doing, man?
I'm good.
Thanks. Thank you for being on. This is really, really cool.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Oh, man. You've been on the list forever and a day, and it's just I finally got off my lazy carcass and, got to you. So
there's a lot of folks. There
is a lot of people
awesome.
out there, but it's just there's certain ones like I don't know. I pinnacle you up there along with Tom Christensen and Neil. Am I saying that right? I always say O'Neill, and it's not. It's Neil, right? Doug Neil?
Doug, yeah.
I always pinnacle you in that boat with those people up there.
Sure.
Just the ones that know everything about their at least what they're into.
Yeah.
So
Doug, I actually, I'm kind of like Doug's understudy in a lot of settings. So
there we go. Yeah. Okay. So I don't expect you like Tom. Tom can you can point to any kind of drum or something. He probably read you off like the serial numbers from his memory.
Oh,
yeah. I don't expect that.
I'm not quite. I'm not a gearhead quite that way, but that's a gift too for sure. Like I can I can get around my tools. That's about as well as I can.
So cool. So I know that you play bass. What else do you play then?
I just play string bass and bass guitar.
Bass. Okay.
And I mean,
so I wasn't pulling any punches there.
No. That's pretty much people assume a lot of times that you would do other things if you play bass. Like a lot of folks think you would play guitar and all that too, but I don't.
I hear that all the time as a music educator. Like, how many instruments can you play? I just tell them all of them.
Right.
Any that I'd play outside of the house, that's a different question. That's the whole thing.
Totally. Because I can, from writing and arranging and teaching, I can play chords on piano and guitar and talk to students about how to do stuff. But when it comes to actually in practice, executing it, in like a functional
Great word,
way.
Great term. I love that.
Yeah. I leave the guitar at home.
But we need to learn more about you. So let's just start from the beginning. Where'd you come from?
I grew
Besides
up
your mother, I get it.
Jesus.
Mhm.
I grew up in Glendon, Minnesota.
Glendon?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I never would have guessed that.
Yeah. No, I just from down the road.
So Glendon, who is your band? Well, we'll get to that. When we get to that, but
I mean, yeah. It's Barry Kuetzer was my band director in elementary school.
okay.
So I mean, you know, a lot of the educators around town would probably remember him. And then Melissa Olson had the job when I was in high school. Tim Johnson
Tim.
taught at the junior high while I was there.
And Tim was on the podcast here a couple months back.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Talking
And
about
now he's doing the kicks band and all that.
exactly.
Yeah.
I got his pen right here.
Oh, nice.
I just got to show it off.
They've got, I didn't know that.
Oh, people bring things, but it's not necessary.
Yeah,
No,
sorry, I didn't.
Oh,
Didn't. Actually, I've got some CDs in the car. I should bring some in because they sit in there for that purpose. So.
oh, I gotcha.
Yeah.
No, there's some music that you sent me that we're going to be listening to. That
Oh,
was-
cool.
I was not expecting. We'll just say that for the most part. So.
No. I like to surprise folks, so that's good.
No, it's good. Okay, so you, Glendon. So you born there, grew up there. You're there. You're
Yeah. Born in Fargo, and then my dad's side of the family, is like they're used to farm, and
Okay.
so like my family's on my dad's side kind of connection to that area as farmers goes back pretty much to when it first got settled in like the
Nice.
1870s, 1880s. So it was eventually when my great grandparents, my great grandfather passed away, my great grandmother had moved into town, like into assisted living, and so by the time I came along, after I was like a year old or so, my parents moved into my great grandparents' house.
Oh, nice.
So
So out on the farm then?
yeah, and then so it was I mean, it had the central part of the house actually, like our living room was actually the original log cabin.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
it was like a one room originally. I mean, they had added onto it by the time we were living there, but
But still, 'cause
Yeah.
I know it was, the Stahlberger brothers came up, but we know the Kaiser side, which is my grandma's side. I don't know, getting off pace here, but it's the same idea as that
Yeah.
out their farm, the original farmstead. They have the old one-bedroom house. They turned it into a storage area. I haven't been out there for 15, 20 years, so
Sure.
it might not even be there anymore. But
There's a
same
lot-
idea,
there's a lot of them that are still out there, and then some are kind of collapsing and stuff. And
which is unfortunate.
yeah,
Yeah, it's just the history. I'm just a big history buff. Yeah.
no, I find it more interesting the older I get too. So
Exactly. Why
but-
did they come here in the first place? What was the whole idea for this?
yeah,
So, Ancestry.com. Yeah, shout out to you guys until you tried to charge me.
right, and collect my data.
Anger.
Yeah. But yeah,
Cool. So you're out on the farm?
yep.
So is your parents farmers then? or
No, so
farming
that was
people?
the land had my great grandparents and previous generations like it kind of we gradually had fewer and fewer people farming in the family. I actually
Gotcha.
couldn't tell you who the last people to actually like run a fully functioning farm there would have been. Maybe my great grandparents a little bit, but by the time my folks came along, they were both living in town. And then so we didn't go out there to farm. We just went out there to take over the house and live there.
So you had a farmstead. You got to
yeah,
grow up on.
and there was some like wetlands and some wooded areas behind our house, and I think like
I'm just jealous.
I think some of the I think some of the land had either been like over the years had been, by the time I was old enough to know what was going on, the land had either been sold or leased, or like I think some of it was like given to wetland conservation or something like that. We lived along like right next to the Buffalo River. So
Oh, even nicer.
yeah, well, it's a pretty muddy. It's not much you
Yeah.
can do on that river, but it's still a river. It was nice.
Exactly.
And the mosquitoes weren't eating you alive. Yeah, pretty.
Now those are the memories right there.
Yeah, rural Minnesota vibe all the way. So yeah, but I grew up out there. It was really beautiful, and it was far enough away from town. I actually kind of got the country experience for most of my childhood.
Oh,
So
very nice.
Yeah.
So did you have all the country toys then, like the 3-wheelers, 4-wheelers, and snowmobiles and stuff?
no, I was definitely I was the kid that was into video games and science fiction books. And,
Oh, nerding it up.
Yeah, and I got pretty hard into once I caught the music bug. That was kind of it.
Oh,
I mean, I rode my bike everywhere and ran around in the woods and stuff, but nothing Nothing elaborate.
Oh, because Patton had always said that is that his saxophone was his video game. That's what he always went to. So
Yeah,
same idea.
Quite literally for me. By the time I got into playing, it was kind of it for me. So
nice. Yeah. So you're growing up there. Obviously we talked about some of your educators, but who in your family is your family musical? Who got you going into all that, and why did you get going into all that?
There wasn't like a really. I didn't grow up. My parents are big music fans.
Okay.
And my dad grew up. My dad played bass in high school. Like he played upright. And so we actually had, but I think at some point he had actually picked up at an auction the, when they sell like the old school instruments.
Yeah.
When I was young, he bought a string bass, I think from Shanley or somewhere like that, one of the schools in town. And it wasn't fully functional. It was pretty beat up, but so he worked at home. So in his office, he actually had this string bass was just sitting there forever. And I thought it was cool, but I didn't think a lot of it. And then eventually, a lot of years later, when I became a bass player, and then eventually started playing upright, he helped me and brought that bass into the town, and that got set up, and it was functional enough where they were able to like reset it, and I played it for the first couple of years I was in college.
Oh, very nice.
Learning how to play string bass, yeah. So my dad did played bass and sang in choir and all that stuff, and so he had some musical background, and so but the bottom line is my parents encouraged me and my sister both, and we both took lessons I played trombone first.
Trombone, okay.
Yeah,
so now we really got to circle back on
and
this.
then got into bass gradually, and my sister took piano lessons and played like flute and clarinet. And so
on the woodwind side.
Yeah.
Did they make you play piano at all, or did you learn or have piano lessons?
They were actually pretty. You hear a lot about like kind of like forced piano lessons. My parents gave me as a musician now, it would have been helpful if they would have really made me do it.
Yeah,
but because because I played, I was already playing an instrument and kind of into it enough. They sort of soft pedaled it. I went and took a lesson with my sister's teacher, but it didn't really stick. And so, since I was already in band at that point, so I guess they just weren't really worried about it. I was participating enough to be exposed to it, I suppose, was probably the logic.
Well, there you go.
But I did piano, once I got into the music program in college and stuff. But
yeah, you have to.
Yeah,
it's like when they talked about choir and all that. Well, choir, that wasn't the manly thing to do back in the 90s, right? So I never did that.
How many things people don't do because of stuff like that?
And then you get to college, and then that's all it was in the music thing. You had to sing everything. I make
my students sing like crazy, and they think I'm a crazy person. But if there's anything people should do if they want to, people should do it. Participate in music if they like it, because it's worth doing. But for the people that serious high school, college musicians, they're always like skeptical or kind of reticent to do singing and all that stuff. It's like no, go do that. Like that's like big part of making music.
I just want to be Jocko. Come on.
Right? Yeah, that's not where I live for sure.
Beat up everybody. I'm kidding.
Right. Yeah.
No, cool. But trombone, how in the world did they talk you into that? And don't say there wasn't any buttons, so it looked simple.
No,
that's the drummer side.
I wanted to play trumpet.
Trumpet.
And when I got to, they do like when the Schmidt music, Agroth music come to your school, and they have all the instruments out. Like the kids they already had enough kids sign up for trumpet, and like I went to a small school, so it was like the kids who already owned an instrument from a family member or something would kind of give him priority. So there were enough trumpets, and so it was literally nothing. They were like, my band director's like, well, how do you feel about doing trombone? I was like, oh, that's cool.
And then the sales pitches start.
Yeah,
I always start with tuba. I'm just always, tuba's the coolest instrument in the world.
I think
tuba,
trying to
get that sold, and then I go from there.
Yeah, but I think it was like the brass playing part of it was like the thing for me. So, yeah,
like making farting noises into a tube. Yes.
Yeah, I guess
it works.
It must have been. I haven't thought about it in a while, but it must have been something like that. Yeah.
My favorite instrument to play, at least in pep band, was the marching baritone. So it plays like a trumpet, but it's baritone type thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But that mouthpiece, you can just get into it. I don't know. I just love that.
You ever play valve trombone?
No.
I actually never
Trombone I'm not very good at. If I stop and think about it, I can remember where all the notes are at, but
Sure.
that's about it. That flute I'm terrible at, but I've admitted that multiple times.
Yeah.
But
That one's, I mean, that's everyone I know who is an educator who's done all the methods, teaching and stuff, usually has like an area that they feel most comfortable in. And
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I like the brass. Brass is really cool. Percussion's really cool. I could play pretty well on a clarinet and saxophone.
sure.
But
All my friends that play saxophone, flute is like the hardest thing to pick up as a double. It's really hard.
It's a I don't know. I shouldn't say a Y instrument, but it's there. It's its own animal, and yeah.
And then you hear people that play it beautifully, and it's like, well,
Exactly.
that's why.
That's my little lady upstairs. She just sight reads everything better than I can. She doesn't even try. And I'm like,
yeah.
how do you do that? And I just blame it that she reads all the time. So I'm guessing it's just being able to take the information from the page and be able to place it where it needs to go. I don't read that much anymore, especially with YouTube now.
Sure.
How do we
sure.
live without YouTube? I don't know. That's another story in itself.
I'm not sure that we ever did. I think it was an illusion. You know?
Yeah, you're too young to remember those days. Oh my
Well, I'm just probably just old enough. I didn't, YouTube came around when I was like graduating high school.
God. Okay.
So I'm 35 now, so
Oh, so yeah, you would have got the transition
Yeah.
just enough where.
I was, I grew up with the internet, but it was dial up. And, like, got it earlier than
I remember
some
getting
kids.
DSL and thinking that was like the.
Yeah,
That
right.
was awesome.
Right. Right.
On my 286, the old dial-up and green screening.
Oh man.
Not like the Apple II. The Apple II. Well, this one you actually can get a card to put them on the internet, but that's like a 1200 baud modem.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Like it's like kind of like you have to really want to for a specific reason.
Yeah, that's where if you downloaded any kind of photo, it'd take 45 minutes for just to load in. Now, if it's not instantaneous on your phone, you just get mad.
Right.
It's like, what's going on?
Right. I think I just get too anxious waiting for my computer to use a specialized modem.
That was back in those days. That was magical. How to do that?
Yeah, that's good. Blink of an eye.
No,
Right.
it is. How long did you play trombone for then?
So I played. I started in 5th grade when you start band class, and
Yep.
I actually still played. I had one, and at my freshman year of college, as a music major, I was already a bass player by then, and I decided bass was my instrument.
Okay.
But I still, to just try and get the most out of college, so to speak, I still did concert band. I didn't take lessons on trombone, but I still played trombone and concert band just to keep playing it. But then as soon as I got serious about like, okay, being a music major is hard and it's a lot of work. And it was also like, as soon as you're playing with, even in like MSUM is where I went to school, and
Yep.
it was a pretty welcoming environment. And there was, it's not like they turn anybody away or anything, but I didn't have I didn't have any time or discipline left over to like, brass playing is a lot of maintenance, so I wasn't really enjoying it, playing it very much when I did, because I never had the chops to really like actually sit in the section with the people. Most of the rest of half the trombone section, who are also music majors, could actually play trombone. Like they, it was like because I was also
trying to say.
because I'm in some of the same classes as them, so I'm like, I'm not wanting to just be like the kid on the very end who like is like just there to be there.
Yep.
So like because I was pretty serious about music, I wanted to sound good. But then because everybody in the section is like a music educator for whom brass is like their main instrument, they actually can play. And I was like, I couldn't keep up. It was like, it just wasn't fun for me because I couldn't make the sound. And it hurt, maintaining chops as a brass player is, you got to really put the time in. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do. That's
Yeah.
a muscle.
And
type
I
of
was
thing, 'cause
so
I noticed that too, especially drumming wise, is that if you step away from it, especially for a year or so,
Oh, yeah.
my gosh,
Oh yeah.
just building that endurance back up, just in order
Yeah.
to, just get things to work again.
When I got into string bass too, and I was struggling so much to learn string bass the first couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, it took just so much time. So like I was already at capacity for my brain, but the sort of the discipline that you have to have for that, there's a lot in common between string players and brass players. So that kind of helped mentally a little bit.
I
So,
gotcha.
you know.
Yeah. So back there in the trombone section, you're holding a lot of harmony type things.
Yeah.
Not so much melody, But
Yeah. I mean, it kind of varies, and then when you get into like the symphonic literature and stuff, it's all kind of like, well, brass players. It's different. Like being a string player now, like I only ever did serious like orchestral playing as a string player.
Gotcha.
I never got like kind of quit trombone freshman year to like finish answering your question. But yeah, so like it's interesting because like then I got to know other symphonic musicians, like playing in the orchestra at MSU and NDSU, and then in the symphony after that. And it was like I would hang out, you hang out with the brass players, and they're all like making jokes about like, oh yeah, I played 4 of my 7 notes in that piece wrong because they wait 10 minutes, and then in the third movement of Beethoven or something, they come in just for like bell chords or something.
Yep.
And they're beautiful, and it takes like all that technique in the world to make like these 3 beautiful notes, and then they sit for another half hour.
Yep.
Whereas string players were like playing tends to be more of like bass is a little different, but in general we're playing. Most of the time, we're just playing figures all the time. We're playing like the left and middle parts of the piano. Like if it was just like a orchestration for just piano. So
and that's the technical terms.
yeah, it's like,
but that's a good way of explaining it, though. It really is.
Yeah, well, that's string players. I think we almost default. It's kind of like being a rhythm section player. You're so used to playing constantly. Whether you're a drummer, bass player, guitar player.
Yeah. Unless you're an orchestra. There again, you're sitting around waiting to play your triangle.
Right. When you're back in the legit world, it's different. But
exactly.
Yeah,
legit world. I'm stealing that. I like that.
Yeah, sure. not mine, but you can have it.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't care if it's not yours.
Yeah.
I just never said it that way, or, well, I probably thought of it that way. I just never said it that way. So
sure.
Loving it. But we got to go back to how you got into bass. So if you're playing trombone, I'm going to guess it has to do something with a jazz band or maybe a pep band.
Not really, actually.
Nothing of
it was
either.
kind of no, because like I wasn't like I liked trombone. I thought it was cool, but I wasn't super serious. Like it wasn't like I was going home practicing every day, and like I wasn't really into playing trombone as an activity. Like I was into other stuff. It was another activity I did as a kid.
Okay.
And then so around the time I got into high school, I was listening to a lot of just, aggro rock music stuff, just as stuff that I like to listen to.
Okay.
And so then it was like, well, I'd kind of like to do that. And so I just wanted to play that music, and I thought, well, I didn't really feel a strong connection to like playing drums. And I thought, well, guitar.
Thank God.
Guitar kind of.
I didn't either.
Yeah, guitar was kind of like, well, everyone seems to get a guitar. So what about bass? Like that's the other thing. So it wasn't like a deep thing. It was like, oh, I think a lot of people play guitar. Why don't I play bass?
It's going down the road less traveled.
Kind of. I mean, it was, I guess the kind of like the trombone thing too. It was like, well, we already have enough trumpet players. I was like, okay, So then like the really getting into the instrument and like being, oh man, this is what I want to do. Once I got my hands on the bass, I was like, oh no, I dig this, But like I didn't go there because I didn't go into it wanting to be a bass player. I just was looking for a way to play rock music, essentially.
Oh, I gotcha. So yeah. Geddy Lee type style? No, I'm kidding. But
okay, that was a big deal eventually, yeah. but no, like I wasn't. It was even it was like listening to like System of a Down and stuff like that.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Going up my roads right there. But
sure.
When did you get your bass in the first place? Was it during high school or?
Between 8th and 9th grade. Like,
8th and 9th grade. Oh my God.
So I was 14, and so I kind of made the pitch to my folks, and they're like, "All right, well, as long as you work on it, and
Well, I think you had your dad in your corner then. So
yeah, well, both of my parents very much, and they were teenagers are tough, so I think they were just happy that I was interested in doing something.
Teenagers scared.
Yeah,
we won't go into that.
Yeah, but yeah, no, they were really encouraging, and then like when I started holing up in my room playing all the time, and they'd have to tell me to chill out and come outside and do things. I think they were like, okay, it was worth the, I was lucky to be in a situation where my parents could help me get some stuff, because it's not cheap to start anything. It's not as expensive as like buying a saxophone, but it's still like it was a few $100s to get an amp and the bass and everything. So, yeah, I was lucky. I had supportive family and patient and yeah, I just once I got my hands on the thing, I was like, oh, I like this.
That is awesome. You remember what kind of bass you had first one?
Yeah, my friend Bobby, Bobby Peterson from Low Standards.
Shout out to Bobby.
You probably know Bobby, I would imagine.
Actually, no.
Okay.
I don't even know if I know the name of that one. So
You should
you'll have to make sure I write that down.
No, Bobby plays in a lot of different stuff, and you should talk to him.
I should.
He'd be interesting. Anyway,
make sure we talk to Bobby.
Yeah, make sure I'll give you his info. But my buddy, who I grew up with, who I also played in a band with over the years, and he has my first bass still.
Sweet.
So I had a PV like entry level. Actually played Grace, basically like a Fender jazz bass.
Oh,
copy.
Nice.
It's like the PV made a lot of really good. They probably still do, but back in the early 2000s, they made a lot of really nice sort of like entry and mid level Fender-esque basses, and then their upper level. Their kind of professional level stuff was really nice. PV Sirius's are really great basses.
I think they made drum sets too at one point.
I think they make. I don't know if they still make everything or if they have as much in the market, but back then they really. I mean, I got all my stuff at Marguerite's, and they had Marguerite's. Half of Marguerite's sales floor was like mid-level PV stuff.
Keep talking about having like a Marguerite's round table, finding everyone who used to work there. Just
oh
have them
man,
come in and talk about it. We had a few that came in.
That'd be like a real oral history.
Yeah.
Actually, I run into some of those guys once in a great while. I ran into Jim Goodwin not long ago.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
And he's still around. And Troy Salonen, who opened the other shop after that.
Is that the Red Star one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
That's Troy. Okay.
Yep.
I never knew his last name. It's always Troy.
So
okay.
Troy would actually be the guy who things you remember, like I distinctly remember him walking me through my options. Like he was the dude that sold me the bass on the day,
Gotcha.
And then Bernie Elstead, great bass player who worked at the shop for a long time, was always like my go-to guy about like new gear and stuff as I grew up and went through high school and all that. And yeah, I love that store. I grew up in there.
That place was great.
Yeah.
And now we got Flatland and Guitar Center.
Drummer's Journey too.
Drummer's Journey,
Man.
Yes, but that's a candy store for me.
Oh God,
I hate going in there.
Yeah.
I see thousands of dollars just spilling out.
It's beautiful too because it's not like super. It's not like super decorated. It's just a room with a bunch of really great stuff in it.
A lot of percussion, and that's the real problem. Is that you buy one drum, you got to have them all. Yeah.
I went with the drummer from Benefactor.
There you
go. Tyler Loringer. He needed new cymbals right after the record I sent you.
Yep.
We just put that out, and after we recorded it, like his cymbals were pretty trashed, and he's like, I need to get some new stuff before we start playing shows on this stuff. So I went into shop with him, and I hadn't been in the store yet, and it was a little overwhelming. It was really cool.
There's a lot to look at in there.
Yeah.
I always bring my daughter with me because she hates it. So she gets me out there pretty good, but yeah.
Sure. It gives you a limiting factor, right?
It's so easy to spend money there.
Yeah, totally.
But that's cool. PV starting off at 7th and 8th grade. And then did you take lessons and all that?
Yeah, took lessons from a guy named John Winter, a great bass player.
Oh, yep.
Still in town. He does a lot of teaching now.
We know John.
Yeah, I would assume so. Yeah. No, John. I took lessons from John for like 3 years, and
okay,
man, that was he was a great teacher. Really fired me up, and as soon as he saw that I was interested, like I could tell, like I mean, looking back on it, I was like, as soon as I expressed interest and seemed like I came back every week having like practice and stuff. I mean, he really challenged me. Like
I bet
he kept giving me stuff to do, and he blew my mind because he played guitar and bass both quite well. I think he was like kind of studying bass primarily, but he was also like kind of double majoring or minoring and playing in like guitar too, probably with Glenn Ginn at the time. He was an MSUM guy.
Okay.
So John would like be showing me all this stuff on bass, and they'd be like, all right, let's play this tune. And he'd like put his bass down, take out his guitar, and I was like trying to like learn how to play, Autumn Leaves or some jazz thing. It took me a couple of years after that to actually like know what I was doing at all. But like he was trying to like just help me figure out like what this thing is. And so he'd be like, all right, you play bass now, and I'm gonna, and then he'd like blow. He'd be like soloing, and it was kind of wild to have your teacher just like, oh, by the way, I'm gonna rock you on another instrument. And then, but then I'm going to switch back and be like, okay, now let's talk about what you aren't doing, So it was great. I learned a lot from John.
Oh, exactly. And the best way to learn something is to fail at it while you're doing it. So
Oh,
as long as
well.
you don't stop, you never actually lose. So
Yeah, I had a guy told me, he's like, great drummer who came out to one of the school I was at in grad school. He said, I wasn't the best guy I knew. I was just too stupid to quit. So I've kind of taken that. I've kind of taken that to heart. Like
that's about it. Like I said, I can show everyone. They had to relearn traditional grip as how you play.
Yeah.
Drumming wise, 4 times over before I finally got it right.
Yeah.
4
totally.
times.
Totally. Gotta have a beginner's mindset.
Oh God, just failing. And then someone showing you something a little different, and they're like, "Oh, okay." And then something a little different. Then you finally get to like the big boys, and they're, "What are you doing?" This is what I was told up in the Midwest. Yeah, no.
Well, yeah. I ran into that too as I was coming up for sure.
Yes, everyone's got a different approach to everything too. So to me, there's really no wrong way of doing anything.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of students of mine would always ask, "Is the correct version to do it?" It's like, does it sound good?
Right.
Is it working for you? Do you have to actually do anything else? I always go back to the old triplet thing. It's like, how do you count triplets? I'm like, how do you want to count them? And then I say like 4 different versions that I, intermix.
Right.
And then it was like, you just want to go strawberry, strawberry, strawberry. I don't care as long as it stays the same.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. No, I mean, it's always about just finding like the sort of healthy and consistent way to learn how to do a thing. And
Yep.
then after that, I mean, I always tell my students, like, this is what works for me for consistency, for like being able to consistently do the thing we're talking about. Your body is different. Your interests are different.
Precisely.
It's going to be different. But since you don't know anything yet, here you go. And take from it what you will.
Precisely. Moss Isleys. I like
Moss
that.
Isleys.
I like that. Okay, so how did you end up going to MSUM in the first place? Because I actually was there once for a year in '94.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So was Dr. Guazda still there when you got there?
Oh, yeah. I took.
I love Dr. Guazda. Shout out to old Henry.
I took theory with Guazda, and actually I took some composition lessons from him too.
Oh,
one of the most important people I've ever, for in terms of like how I thought about music. I think my life would be a lot different if I hadn't met him.
Oh God, yeah. I still have stories I tell about him from the first day. I'm not going to repeat it. It's definitely been said multiple times on here.
I've got a couple
Mr.
good ones.
Johnk has been talking very, very well, so I'm not going to fill up his time with my crap.
No, this is fun. So I only went to, I shouldn't say only, I kind of went to MSUM just because I was looking for a place where I could major in music and play electric bass.
Gotcha.
That wasn't really an option. I really wanted to go to the U of M or like, go to some like kind of like more of a prestigious maybe music school. And I didn't know up from down anyway. I probably wouldn't have gotten in on merit at the time.
Yep.
But my idea was to go try and get out of town. But then it turned out that like, now there's like more, the sort of music industry or commercial music sort of programs are more widespread, I think, in smaller, state schools or out and about. Still not common.
No.
But there wasn't really an option. A lot of schools they didn't even have like a jazz major. Like a lot of places, like I went to look at the U and there was like, I didn't play upright bass yet. So when I went out there, and they're like, oh, well, if you only play electric bass, I mean, there's things you can do to perform in, but you won't be able to major music here, which at the time was like, I didn't understand, like, it's just school, man. It's like, there's lots of schools. There's lots of different ways to get a degree.
But still being denied.
But I was bummed out at the time. So MSUM, and then it turned out that, after I did, and my parents were like, hey, like, buck up, we'll find something for you to do.
Yep.
And because I wanted to do music. And so we went out and checked out MSUM. It turned out that they had a really kind of stacked faculty at the time. Simon Rowe started teaching piano there.
Oh, yes.
Alan Carter was teaching drums.
Yep.
There was basically a full-time faculty member teaching every major like commercial / jazz instrument, along with like having the partnership with the orchestra for NDSU. So it was like a really, I mean, it wasn't quite like conservatory level, but there was a lot of people majoring in performance, and there's a good mix of like performance education and music industry. So there was like a lot of people in a lot of ensembles, and so it turned out, I was like, oh yeah, you can play electric bass here. We have jazz combos. We have all that stuff. You can major in music industry, which is what I did at first.
Me too.
So so I did. So that's what I did. And then eventually it was like, well, Toby Curtright, who was teaching bass there at the time, said, unless you really don't want to, learning upright would be a good idea. So I did, and then it ended up kind of being, upright kind of ended up being my main instrument then, eventually.
That's what I know you as.
Sure.
I think that's where I saw you in the orchestras.
Oh, yeah.
Tri-College Orchestra. One camera tonight on him. Because I can't get this fancy thing to work, so it looks really nice.
Yeah, it looks great.
That's about it.
Looks formidable. Yeah.
Dude, so cool. So then when you got done with school there, what got to where you're doing now? Because are you working with the AMP School of Music? Did I read that correctly? Or is that something else?
Nope, I teach at Amped.
Okay.
It's not like my main. I'm like most freelance folk where I have a few different things I do.
Yeah, I noticed that on your website. I was like, woo, this guy's busy.
And I have a good day job right now too, and it's in the business. But in terms of longer term, I've been freelancing for a long time, and so right now I teach at Amped, so it's private lessons mostly. I'm lucky. I do get a good range of like adult and younger students, which is cool. But right now, all my students are like kind of K through 12-ish.
Gotcha.
But that fluctuates. I kind of like having a range. And then I teach. I'm doing one adjunct class at MSUM, and then I split that with I teach the commercial ensemble over there with Allison Maloney.
Oh, nice.
And that's been a lot of fun. So shout out to those kids. It's a good group. It's a lot of fun.
Excellent.
And it's cool to see, having kind of been on the other side of the desk from that. It's nice to go back into the teaching, the post-secondary teaching, and be like, and seeing these kids who kind of have a lot of energy, and it kind of ups your.
It keeps you young.
It puts
really
does. It puts you in a good headspace, and it kind of reminds you of like what's fun about doing all this stuff, and it's not just paperwork and all of that good stuff, and you get to see people like kind of take on their own thing and grow, which is really cool. But then, so I do that's my teaching bit. I freelance a lot playing. And then I've got then like the things that you'd probably see my name on, or like the things where like, Max Jonk and All Weather. Like I do my own music occasionally under my own name, but most of the playing I do is like accompanying somebody else or playing in somebody's thing.
Gotcha.
So, I guess like most of my bass playing that happens in public is like working musician stuff. But then there's the benefactor thing, and I do a few gigs a year with my own jazz group and all that. So.
Oh, I remember. I've shown that out for a while. Yes, I remember that coming up. The Maxjonk, not trio, is it quartet or something like that?
Yeah. Well, so like the next gig that I have doing my own music is December 7th at Blarney Stone downtown. The formerly the Hodo.
Yep.
My group All Weather, which is all original music for a quintet.
Quintet.
Yeah, and that's evolved over the year. I had a quartet for a long time, and depending on the gig, it might be advertised as trio, whatever, duo. But like
names are names.
When I do my original music, my original jazz music, that's going to be right now that's a pretty stable thing, and the project is called All Weather, and that's a quintet.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Excellent. Well, let's see. Can you believe we've already gone for a good, I think it's been 45 minutes already.
Oh, great.
So I need to get to the weekly report here. No, it's only been 40 minutes, but
hey.
I need to get to the weekly report. But after that, we're going to listen to some of the music that you sent me, and then you can explain where all this came from, because
sure.
Yeah, I was expecting like doos, and it was something
like
completely different, which very interesting.
Dope.
I like that type of stuff. All right, so see you, we miss you, man. All right, and I was told that I go way too fast while trying to read these off, so I'm going to try to slow it down a little bit, and maybe you could be longer for me. Over at Dempsey's open mic night with Gina Powers, if she's still around. I think she's in Nashville now, so we're going to still say it's Gina Powers out there tomorrow night, 21st, and then Posheen on Friday, the 22nd, at the Aquarium with all the greatest band names out there. We got Violent J, Esham, Ouija Back, R.A., and Rugged Man on Thursday, the 21st, and Voices of Addiction, Germ Circus, Artificial Dopamine. I got to get those guys. I mean, it's just way too cool.
Yeah.
And I met their parent, or maybe parents, of them out in Williston. So I was talking about like cool band names in Fargo. And they're, oh, it's my son.
And they're like, let me tell you about good band names.
Then Pipe Stripe on Friday. Then the next night we got Ouch, Big Hank, and Jade Monroe on Saturday the 23rd. On let's see, Sunday we got No Resolve. Oh, I can read that. How the Scene? I'm gonna say I probably could just mess that up. The Haunt. Look Like Hell, and then Frost Found Us, which sounds not pleasant at all. On Sunday the 24th, they're at the Alibi Lounge. Tomorrow night, they have the open mic night. The Blarney Stone, Heart and Soul on Thursday tomorrow night. And then at the Troll Lounge, you have Pepper Ashmore hitting the stage on Friday the 22nd. The Fargo Brewing Company, we have Nerdy, Hot Nerdy, get it, on Thursday the 21st. And then Below Zero Wrestling. I just love pointing those guys out. Their advertising is phenomenal.
Oh, yeah. No, those posters are awesome.
Yes,
yeah.
On Saturday the 23rd. Then on Sunday, we have Hostile Harmony, No Divinity, Murrow, Catch Your Breath, Perfectly Still, Of Virtue, By Thousands, and Atreyu. I should be out at this show, too. On Sunday the 24th. Go on, check out Atreyu.
Yeah.
Especially in that kind of a setting. It's so intimate. Oh, man, that'd be really awesome. Downtown, still we're at open mic night with Travis Nieros next Monday the 25th. Then we have open mic night happening tonight, probably as we speak, with Mark Wade Belcher down at the Cellar. So if you're looking to tighten up that 2 minutes of stand-up, that's the place to be. And then we have Mike Lester and Casey Fleisch on Friday the 22nd. Side Street Jazz Night next Monday the 25th. And then we have Cowboy Jacks, Jay Stevenson is hosting the open mic night on Sunday the 24th. Then Specs Aftershock out there on Friday the 22nd. At the Urban 42nd, we have Kathy Brecky and the jazz band, the 42nd Street Jazz Band. I'm just reading this like like Anchorman. On the 21st. Then the Deadbeats hit the stage out there on the 22nd. Then we have the Downtown Acoustic Corner. Tonight we have the FM Writers Round happening at Murphy's Pub, which is just a few blocks from here. And Rick Adam will be at the Roundup Saloon. Tomorrow night we have no one at the Spicy Pie, but I think they're having like Bob's, FM Bob's, doing something out there. Nah, they have enough of their own advertisement. Dan Brecky for the Silver Spike. You have Mike Morris at Hooligans, Kyle Colby at Midtown Tavern, Todd Sisson at the Cork and Cleaver, and Brianna Hebling and Colby Tangent at the Twin Peaks tomorrow night. Friday, Brady Robertson at Murphy's Pub right down the street. Then Doug Thompson at Tailgaters. And Saturday, Jim White will be out at the Roundup Saloon. And we're uptown. We got the Windbreak. We got Adios Pantalones on Ladies' Night and Friday night. And then Pop Rocks happening on Saturday the 23rd. The Shooting Star Casino out in Monoman. We have Tommy James and the Shondells on Friday the 22nd. And then the Mustang Lounge, you have Legacy of the Loud on Friday and Saturday. At the Southtown Poorhouse, you have October Road on Friday, and then 2 weeks' notice on Saturday. That's up in Grand Forks. Then, oh man, Jeff Dunham's going to be hitting the Shields Arena on Saturday. And I got to have a gig. I can't even make it to that. That'd be really cool to see. We're out of town at the O in Minot. Johnny Home on Friday, then Dirty Little Secret. Ooh, what's going on out there? At 23rd. Then Buck Cherry hitting the stage on Tuesday at 26th. The Laughing Sun Brewing Company in Bismarck-Mandan area, our favorite brewing company in the Bismarck-Mandan area. Is Ms. Mondine is on Thursday. Then Emma Woods and Sammy Jean on Friday. The Wicked Bees that just played in town. Oh, Dan Christensen on Saturday the 23rd. Then Bizman Little Big Band on Monday the 25th. I'm trying to remember who's in there, but I work with them in Williston on the drum lines. I'm blowing the name right now. Sorry if you're listening to this later. Then those Jada Records up in Grand Forks. We have Jenzion, GTB Daz, Tommy. I know I'm destroying these names, but yeah, man, this isn't proper English.
It is what it is.
We have Tayanamo Denku, Isaac Daniels, I know that one, and Jamenke on Friday the 22nd. I'm supposed to go hang out with Mr. Will after this, but Will got brought down to the cities tonight, so we were going to record something. Not sure even what that's going to be, but it sounds like a lot of fun. Can't wait to get out there. Then we got Zorbas and Park Rapids Gear Daddies next Friday the 22nd, and I forgot to put us. We're going to be at the Corner Bar in Jamestown on Saturday, and that's one of my favorite bars to play at. And I'm not entirely sure why. They just treat us really well. So the Corner Bar in Jamestown, if you're out in Jamestown, come and meet us out there. Maybe get a t-shirt or something. It'd be really cool. And that's all we got for the weekly report here. So let's get it back to old Mr. Johnk. And let's listen to some music and then figure out what in the world is going through this guy's head. So here we go. I have a bunch of photos as well. We might get to some photos because I went and pulled some myself.
Oh.
Here we go. So that one, I like that. You made that for a sign. I know that, but we're going to get to your music here. So this is Song of Freedom. You're going to have to fill in the rest of it.
Yeah, sure.
And we got to do the old interact thingy. So song of Word of Warning.
Might be a little loud in the headphones, but
I cranked it way up.
It's a pretty long song.
See, this is what I wasn't. It's almost like crying.
Yeah, it's we're talking about metal taxonomy. This doom metal, a little bit of hardcore black metal. Yeah. But, I mean, I listen to it.
This reminds me of I was a thrash guy.
Oh, sure.
Grew up to the thrash stuff. What we got here, also known John, it's all about the breakdown. What? That's just thrash. Just setting it up. So what is going on? What started this entire thing? Is this something that you're still doing today?
Yeah, we just put this out last month.
Just last month.
Yep, this is brand new.
Oh my
Well,
gosh. See, I was not expecting anything to say.
Oh yeah, no, I've played this band for 17 years.
17 years.
Yeah.
Oh, you just can't give it. That's awesome. Yeah. There was a time in my life where we listened to stuff and if we could understand the words, you didn't listen to that.
Yeah, that was my life for when I was younger. Yeah, pop music came later.
So explain this then. So it's
Sure.
Word of Warning. Is that the name of the group?
No, so the band is called Benefactor.
Benefactor.
The record is called Song of Freedom, Word of Warning.
Gotcha.
And it's actually, so this band, Benefactor, was active from 2006 through around 2017.
Okay.
And then we all we didn't really intend to quit, but one of the guys in the band, the guitar player, Cody, moved out of town. And so he was coming in, with less and less frequency to play shows, and we all just got busy. And others
sucks, doesn't it?
Well, it just it kind of just drifted for a while, and then COVID happened, and then we played we played in town for a really long time, and so like in the underground thing, we went through we were present for multiple eras of different venues and like different levels of activity in the all ages scene and the underground music thing in town. So gradually, we had a couple of friends who just keep asking us like, hey, would you guys want to get back together to do this big show or this big show? And then we finally, this last year, we're going to do New Direction Fest, the final New Direction Fest in March.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
And that ended up not working out, but we were going to make it work to try and do that. And then, but then the idea was kind of already planned. I was like, well, maybe we should still like get together and start. We practiced a few times, and we're like, well, we like doing this, but we're going to need more time to get together. It's pretty phically demanding. There's a lot of.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the songs are all 10 minutes long, and there's a lot of parts.
Seriously?
Yeah.
All
no,
of them?
it's pretty. This one is split into two on the track, just because there's a kind of a cool break. But generally speaking, our music it's all long songs, complex, extremely loud. It takes a lot out of the There's a lot of, you can hear it in like the drum part especially. It's like a lot of like very constant playing and tremolo picking and stuff. So
yeah, there's a lot going on.
So we had to kind of get back up to fighting strength to do this stuff live in a way that was going to be satisfying. But so we ended up finally, it gave us enough time to record this music. This music was all stuff that we'd written like 6, 7, 8 years ago. And this was the music that was going to be the next record, but we never recorded it.
Gotcha.
So when we got back together, we relearned the music. We remembered some of it, and we had a couple live recordings that we used to kind of refresh our memory on some specifics. And then we made this record from basically Memorial Day through the beginning of July, and then put it out at the end of August. So it was a really tight turnaround. But then we played the Dakota Decibel Fest at the Aquarium about a month ago, and it was fun, and we're going to keep playing. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And this is all linked down below.
Yeah.
Is it Maxjonkmusic.com or is it Maxjonkmusic?
This isn't really my thing. This is a band I'm in. So the best way to get to this would be benefactor.bandcamp.com.
Okay.
And so this,
I'll have to fix that too.
Oh, sure. I mean, you'd find it if you went to my website. You could probably find it in a roundabout way, but I don't really. Benefactor doesn't really appear.
Yes, we'll get to that.
Oh, so you went through like my Facebook feed from like high school.
Well, you sent me 3, and I was like, no.
Oh, okay.
At least 7 for the
sure.
ending. So.
I figured you just wanted like my professional EPK stuff,
no,
but you wanted like the whole life story. I got you.
Oh, that's fine too. No, I was just what I was curious about. So that was one of the things.
No, fair.
So there you go, Benefactor. Find him on Bandcamp.
Yeah.
And that's right. I got this going. I'm trying something new here with the interaction. Usually I have it just automatically playing, but there's so much going on here.
Sure.
Laid across your path. Okay, so this is Dimensions of Masters.
Division of Masters.
Divisions of Masters.
Yeah.
Divisions.
No, that's all right.
Thank you.
It's far away.
This is what I kind of more respect. Still.
It's pretty. I think
Recording all that is so interesting.
we recorded it ourselves I recorded it during the pandemic, so this isn't a studio thing. We did this in my rehearsal space. It's recorded live. So,
You're playing covers all the time.
oh, sure.
Especially all thrown
Oh, no, but in what way? The recording of this was actually, it was pretty fun. So I wrote this music. It's like my junior prom or something. I wrote this. Some of this music was kind of sitting on my back burner for a long time, and I just like the pandemic rolled around, and I sort of like, I had to just have more time than usual to sit and try and wrestle with some of the stuff. This wasn't music that a song popped in my head. This was like the stuff. Sometimes music is easy to come and that writes itself, and sometimes you really fight it for a long time. And this was the latter. And so I finally got this music together after some work. And then Connor and Joel, the other players on this, were down to sort of meet once a week and do like the playing, rehearsing with masks, and meet each other's pod and all that stuff. Yeah, so we got shots for COVID came around like the week before, 2 weeks before we recorded it.
Oh, gotcha.
So we rehearsed through the spring of 21 and then recorded this in my rehearsal space. And so it was like we're all set up in one room. I had like the guitar amp in the second room, had the door closed, but it's still a lot of bleed. It's kind of set up the way a jazz trio would record in the old days, with just more modern sounding guitar sounds.
Just from what you said, the whole bleeding, that's probably what the whole deal was.
Yeah. I was going for as much space as we could get. Kind of the opposite of the close mics, like rock and roll.
Cool, then how did you come up with the name Division of Masters?
Honestly, it was kind of like trying to find something that would be evocative, but would be sort of meaningless. I think it just kind of popped into my head. I used to keep a long list of like just turns of phrase. Sometimes when you see it, you see like text in a sign or in a document or something, but you don't catch the whole thing. Like you see like just the last like 3 or 4 words or something, and it sounds like completely changes like what the meaning is. Then you see the whole sentence. You're like, oh, well, that's. So I couldn't say exactly where it came from, but it was definitely one of those like just like this a strange turn of phrase that popped into my head. I love it. It might have been like something that I saw on the side of a building or something. But I like
Connor's just tripping me out.
Oh yeah, no, this is my. I mean, Connor's done a lot of stuff, but in terms of recordings, I've told him this is probably my favorite guitar solo that I've ever played. I'm really proud of this one. But I'm really, for me, this is the record where I'm just so stoked on like how the guys in the band play on my tunes. It's like they sort of. It was cool because it was like both. It was written for these 2 guys and myself, but they both did things that I wouldn't have expected them to do. And so it was cool. Like it was cool. It was a really expansive thing. And Joel does some like world-altering stuff. Just kind of doing the Elven thing, but like kind of slow down and spread out. Yeah, I really love it. Thanks for playing this. This is probably.
Oh yeah.
This and the
just showing just the breadth of what you do.
Sure.
When I first heard that one, I was like, what's going on? And I was like, I gotta check the rest of this stuff out.
Is that fair?
So we gotta go to the next one, just because of time's sake here. But the rest of you guys, get out there and. Was this on your website? I've got a feeling this was.
Just about all of this stuff will be linked somewhere on my website.
Yeah, exactly. So go out and buy this stuff, guys.
Yeah. No, yeah. Oh, please.
Keep
yeah.
good music on the road
and
there.
And Benefactor plays live, so come out. We're playing in October. It's going to be announced soon, so keep an eye out for the Aquarium show list.
The Aquarium once again with the greatest band names ever.
No, that's right. At least how an American English speaking person. That's how I pronounce it. I'm glad you picked this. This is my. If I have 3 records that I am happiest with, it's these 3.
It's something.
So musically, I think so. So this was this is a band that the 4 of us write this music together, and the lyricists are on this particular song. It was Bobby Peterson, but we had 2 lead vocalists in this band.
Okay.
So Bobby and then Matt Trelstead, another longtime scene cat, who played he played in the great hardcore band Life Won't Wait. He plays in Home State now. They're kind of a country Americana band. If you haven't heard them, they're awesome.
It's another name I need to grab.
Yeah. I can write my friends' names down for you.
Yes, please.
But so Matt and Bobby wrote all the lyrics, but this was a band where we wrote the music together, and a lot of it would be jams. It was sort of like trying to go halfway between being like a grunge band and a singer-songwriter thing. In terms of like guys really worked hard on the melodies and stuff. It wasn't just like riffs. We were trying to prioritize vocal melodies and stuff, but still have a lot going on musically. But this particular, I'm pretty sure, and the guys would probably correct me, but I'm pretty sure this was one because it started out with that bass line, that distorted bass thing. I think that might have been like a jam where I started doing that and was just looking for something to play. So I think it started with me. I was just trying to play something that sounded like Afghan Wigs. Do you know that band?
I've heard of them.
Yeah, they're kind of they're a grunge band that's they're really good. They're awesome. They're kind of weird. It's like they're a grunge, sort of like grunge or alt rock band from the '90s that also was they'd have a lot of R&B singers singing backup and some kind of weird, a lot of psychedelic stuff, kind of like this. So I was listening to that a lot. And so I remember after we played this jam the first time, I was just trying to play good. I was there was this chord progression is very Afghan Wigs sort of.
Gotcha.
Minor key that doesn't quite resolve back to major, and then not to spoil it, but at the end of the song it goes to major at the end, and it's this big open field at the end of the long sad song.
Ooh, there we go. So there's the tease on that. So I'm not gonna play it all the way to there.
Yeah.
To make you guys go and find it yourself.
But the lyric on this is, in terms of the inspiration, Bobby's lyric on this one's pretty great. It's I think it's kind of dealing with your public and private self and how all of that sort of can be hard to navigate and decide who you're trying to be for real and all. But he'd be a bit more articulate about it than me. But I like the lyric on this one. This was kind of our single when we put this record out.
Oh, nice. When did this one come out?
2019. And we did it.
For a little while.
We did. This band did a couple tours. We did a tour right after this, like in the summer, and then when we were planning what to do next, COVID hit like 4 months later.
Of course.
6 months later. So, and then like that was another one where a couple of the guys moved out of town for a bit, and one of the other guys just started a family. So we kind of just sort of tacitly hung it up. But you never know. We're all kind of in the area now, so
could be revived.
Yeah.
Stand up for a second. We're gonna take it away from you. I'll make you go find that one yourselves out there, but that's some killer stuff you got going on.
Thanks, man.
And just really enjoy it. Really enjoy it. But we've been going on here for almost an hour. We usually try to hold it about 45 minutes, but it's been great talking with you and all that. But
thanks,
we got a little juvenile destruction here, and then we'll let you say what's happening next, and we have to get on moving on out of here because, well, not blaming you guys, but we noticed, at least in the demo stuff, is that anytime anything goes over 45 minutes, they're gone.
Yeah.
They just don't care anymore. So, hi, you should care. All right, so now we're going to do this week's Off the Roof, so the little juvenile destruction for you. I've been pulling these at random, but this is what happens when you give a board drummer a bunch of GoPros.
Funny.
I don't even know what we're breaking today, but I have an idea. Oh, that one went. Nice. This is why I'm sad that the bins went away.
Yeah, right.
Oh, man, just buy so much random junk, just destroy it. It's awesome. It's a crystal bowl. That was perfect aim, too. You're hired. Oh, finally got my driveway back. Should have saw it for the past almost year.
I can't imagine if you're doing that all the time.
Oh, God. Well, it's not that. It was... There's some history that happened in this house from the past year. We won't get into here, but yeah, it was a mess out there for a while. So, but I'll have to explain to you what's going on here is that I grew up in this house and I bought it for my dad a million years ago. He now lives in a farmstead, which I would love to live in a farmstead too. I was going to mention that when you're talking about that. That's why I'm so jealous, but I want to be on the North Dakota side. So if anyone knows of a farmstead for sale, it just has to be land or something that looks like a house. I don't care. I got a way of depicting if we're going to take it or not. I'm not going to say it again on this podcast, but if you know of one, do on that. And so we'd have, raging parties at points.
Sure.
But inevitably, someone would get on the roof and we'd be throwing random electronics off it just to watch it explode on the driveway because that's what we did in the 90s, and that's how we liked it. That was our entertainment. So just keeping the tradition alive by throwing stuff off the roof. So if you have anything you want to see exploded on the old internet, just throw it in my yard or tell me about it. We'll come pick it up. Whatever you want to do, we'll destroy it for you. That's not an issue. So that's the off the roof part. So, Mr. Max, thanks for being on once again.
Thanks, Wade.
Yeah, this is awesome. It's great to hear at least your story and how everything grows. I had such a different idea of how you grew up and everything else.
Oh.
It just always seems so very proper and all that.
Not particularly.
No, you're just here and then you just want to make some music.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
Yeah.
You do a very, very, very good job at it. So
thanks.
Just let us know what's going on, what's coming up next. Where can we find you? All the other fun stuff. For the good of the order.
There's a few things in October. The public things are still. There's some things that are booked but haven't been fully announced yet. So I would say if anyone's really curious, my website will have updated listings probably at the end of next week.
Maxjonkk.com.
Yeah.
And that's linked down below, everybody.
But you'll probably, I'll also be out and about playing for other people where it's not really me being advertised. So you'll, if you pop into a given bar on a given night, you might see me. playing somewhere.
Very
So,
good.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, so where can they find you at?
Maxjonk.com, maxjunk.bandcamp.com, and benefactor.bandcamp.com.
Benefactorbandcamp.com. .bandcamp.com.
Right.
Gotcha. And you can find us all from the Ticky Tacks all the way up to the Instagrams on the Uptown Tonight podcast, and or just go to Uptown Band Fargo. It's Uptown. It's a band from Fargo.com. That has everything that has to do with the band and or the podcast and all the stuff in between. So all that fun things. So you got to remember, Max,
Yeah.
if your drummer has more charisma than your front man, band may be in trouble.
No comment.
Oh, that's why my band's doing just fine. So until next time.